Hello, whoever's there. I think only Sarah's here, and probably a few other stragglers that are turning up. Yes, it is a surprise. I wasn't actually intending to do any live streams. I'm only doing it for an hour, and then I've got other things to do. I don't know whether there's going to be an impromptu one tonight or not. I haven't even had a shower. You can already see, my hair's just scruffy and, unshaven. Completely just threw some baggy clothes on and just, made a quick coffee. And his flight F000000. Yes, good to see you, mate. And Sarah's also here. Asked me a comment also. Yes, a wonderful surprise. You actually asked me a comment. She asked me a comment today about Rob Shive's, Bart Kaler video on him just today. I've actually chatted on the subject matter about this nonsense, because it is nonsense, this nonsensical construct that a reductionist like only Robert could come up calling it insulin suppression. What a load of nonsense. And pretty much somebody had to give him a good spanking. So I had the previous well, technically it's still probably this week anyway, but I had earlier, I had a bit of a chat with Jonathan. So he's been processing for the last week the video series that he's going to put on his channel. So it's for his paid clients, and it goes into protein, it goes into some of the bodybuilding stuff, and goes into some of that other information. So if people want to go over to Jonathan's, the link is in the share. And Windows, please respond, you. Okay, they've changed it again. They've changed my tabs on this. Now for the actual audio, you can't go on the window. You have to go on the entire screen and pick it. A different approach. Annoying. They keep on changing things. Anyway, such is life. What can one do? I better beef it up a bit. Otherwise, it won't make sense. So that's the series that Jonathan's put out. So gluconeogenesis, dual human diet, decarb secrets to endurance. There's a bit of info there. Protein amount, high, low, and it touches on some of these issues, all these videos. And this was the one that today Bart K released on the Carb Addiction doc, Rob Shives. And my sort of comment is, in my recent chat with Jonathan, I cover this reductionist insulin suppression nonsense. I give a bit of an insight in a comment that I left on this video, which is on Bart's channel. Go and show your love by liking it. Yes, otherwise I'll send Ted around to spank the living daylights out of you. Bart is correct about Rob has created a reductionist construct to justify sugar for his client, which is exactly what he's done, rather than encourage him to eat more fat and raise his body fat percentage back to a healthier level, because it's too damn low. Extreme bodybuilding approaches lead people to this end of extreme leanness, and the body having to revert to using protein to fuel itself from exogenous food, that is, protein, and in the vegan world from their own body tissue. Yeah, we know they waste away. The Church of Anorexia Vegana, it's well known. Even somebody starving in Africa, in the past, if you were to check their blood works, you would see those sort of elevated things because they're ripping protein off their body and turning it into glucose and then moving it out as triglycerides. This is normal for survival. This is what the body does. Low body percent fat, what's the body going to do? But only a reductionist would have this narrow vision, tunnel vision, and can't see all these interactions. The body goes, because it's smarter than Rob, and it goes, oh, shit, this guy I don't have enough body fat. I'm not getting enough eating enough fat, because this guy's basically just consuming higher protein thinking. I'm going to build more muscle and be lean and lean so I can have a ripped, torso to basically impress the girls. And then, oh, I'm not putting any more muscle on. What's happening? Well, my dear, the body's smarter and saying, this guy's a fool. I need to use his food protein and convert it to a fuel that I can use to fuel my body to keep my brain, tissue, and all that going. Otherwise, I'll have to rip and atrophy everything like the vegans do. Oh, God. It drives you up the wall. This is Mickey Mouse stuff. For me, it's Mickey Mouse stuff. I do deep dives into complex sort of systems and complex things of, biohacking the body and stuff like that. This is Mickey Mouse nonsense. That somebody like a doctor, maybe didn't do very well in his first year physiology and just did really well in pharmacology and surgical techniques. And that's why he ended up a doctor and not a physiologist. So, he should leave the physiology to the people with high IQs and people who are qualified, also like Bart, who understand this sort of stuff and also has a high IQ as well, might I add, and can actually work this shit out and can actually overcome reductionist thinking, because these people are so narrowly focused they can't see, oh, this is doing this. Well, this is doing this because it's supposed to do it when you upregulate gluconeogenesis. It's part of the, survival mechanism. Oh, this guy isn't eating enough. I need to convert. The body's smart. It does exactly. You feed it back, it goes to normal. He gave it sugar. He could have given the guy more fat. And the same thing would have happened to his physiological parameters. And the so-called normal range, these sort of things going back to the normal range, they're just going back to a range where there's less gluconeogenesis activity because you've got extra fuel coming in. That's all there is. It's not, oh, this went back to the normal range. No, you idiot. He got the fuel. Now he doesn't need to convert the other stuff to sugar and then fat. And so those enzymes and all that are not being utilized anymore. Gluconeogenesis is being downregulated to basal level. Voila. Just because you put the sugar in, but you could have put the fat in, which would be more indicated. The other stuff is high deuterium. Also, protein to be converted to be used for those purposes also has a high deuterium content, not as high as sugar. So it's less deleterious to the mitochondria, but it's still higher. So it's always better to use fat to fuel your body and to produce metabolic water in your mitochondria. Rob, go back and learn some physiology. Anyway, let's get on with it. We've got a few stragglers that have jumped in. Oh, hello, Kitty, my neighbour. How are you? Anyway, let's move on to some more pleasant people. Raymond. Hello, everyone. Morning, Harry. Thank you. See? That's the sort of response you should have given me, my dear. Love from Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. RJ. Up my Taurian. Thanks you. Thank you so much, Harry. You're welcome. Hi, Harry. G'day, Johnny. I think you sent me an email. I haven't read it yet. I will get back to it. I'm behind on my emails, and currently I stuck a big file deliberately in my draft thing to stop people sending me emails. Can people sort of ease up? Don't send me any emails for the next month, for this month. Let me get through the stuff that I'm already on a backlog with. Already we're down to half the staff at work. I'm exhausted, absolutely exhausted. People are leaving. I'm retraining people that are new and doing other things. Like everybody, we're all exhausted. So, I'm sort of, I blurted out a couple of videos, and I will do like on a weekend, like on a Saturday night. And that's why it's so, it's all the circadian stuff that's on. I do look very, very cute in orange, might I add. Some have actually commented they did like the orange effect. But anyway, yes. So I will get back to you as well. Oh, I did so gratefully for you and Bart, eagerly awaiting the immune reset protocol. Yeah, I'll at some point it will happen in your lifetime. No, it will happen. Hopefully, possibly into this month, possibly early next month. I can't promise 100% exactly when. There's a couple of others in the stream that have to be, and a few things that have to be processed, which I still haven't got around cutting and processing. Because usually I do a bit like Bart does, just one big splurge, and then I have to cut it up and then process the damn thing. That takes time and effort. It's the same thing that I know Jonathan's doing with the other one, because we videotaped it a while back, and then, well, not a while back, but quite a few days back, about nearly a week now it is. And so, yeah, and then, yeah, that sort of stuff takes time. Recent, yep. And also, now that we're talking about it, I might as well promote myself again, as some of those Vagoons say. He's an arrogant piece of shit, always promoting himself. No, I'm always reminding you, Vagoonerized cockwombles out there, that I'm always getting it bloody right, and you are getting it always bloody wrong, because you're stupid, and just accept it. You're basically possibly, the body, if it was actually using brain tissue, to fuel yourselves to keep you alive, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, since you're not even using much of it. Anyway, so this is Professor Angus. This is one that John Campbell did recently. This is an oncologist and virologist. And, obviously we agree that, yes, it is a bit of an Orwellian censorship in the science currently. And he's a top man in his field. But he pretty much vindicates the stuff that I've been saying for some time, So do go and check that out. It's in 13 hours ago. I actually posted it. You might as well go and you'll learn a lot about the dangers and risks of these contraindicated jabberoos, Jabba the Hutt. Yes, you do not want to have a close encounter with Jabba the Hutt on a constant basis. Not very good for your body and your immune system long term. And the things, the risks and threats and all that I covered in my long series of the COVID playlist. There's a COVID playlist. And I pretty much talked about the T cells being very important. He actually supports the same sort of view. And he pretty much talks about vitamin D, very, very important. I usually say to the high of the normal. He's actually saying the same bloody things as well. And he's pretty much confirming most of the stuff that I've been saying for some time in those to support the immune system. He doesn't cover taurine, which is involved in immunosenescence, in lowering it, protecting the T cells, and actually preventing them from going from senescent effects. Also doesn't talk about recycling your immune system with clearing out the old stuff with periodic fasting. So it doesn't touch on these other things which are important, that I've talked about on multiple occasions. But he does vindicate a lot of the stuff that I've been saying about the importance of T cells, the importance of basically, protecting your immune system, the importance of vitamin D, and those sort of things in terms, and also the antigen sin that I talked about, that all corona, when you try and immunize against like the flu or whatever, you get this antigen sin effect. The body just goes, oh yeah, this isn't, it low prioritizes it. And it's the reason the more you do this sort of nonsense, the more you put your risk at your basically immune system doesn't take it serious, and you're more prone to worse, to both being getting symptoms of illness from the C19 bioweapon that was released from our dear friends in Wuhan. Anyway, let's move on. Yes, and let's not forget our dear friends in the deep state of the United States, the CIA, that funded, gain of function via our very nice friend Fauci, and also his very nice supporters in the Southeast Asia, the Eco Health Alliance, such humanitarian people that love to do gain of function for our dear friend, our ex-dear friend at the NIH. Yes. Yes. He's retired now, apparently, but probably getting a nice cushy job for all his work for Big Pharma. Yes. Such lovely people, absolutely lovely people. Don't you forget the Google people, the Pfizer, the Pfizer people, and the BlackRock people. They're all lovely people. They don't want to depopulate anything. They don't want to do anything nasty and nefarious on this world. They are out caring people, virtual signaling in the right way. And don't you forget that bigots. Anyway, yes. Yes, good idea to combine it with a consultation from the bald man bad. Anyway, tell him to exclude Ted's intervention. Just remember that, Sarah. Yes. Go check out the video between Bagoon, Dr. Negra. Who is he? I've never heard of him. I know some of the other Vagoon doctors, but not him. I may have to check him up. Thank you, Raymond. Yes, they're pretty much, they make no logical sense whatsoever. There's just smoke and mirrors, epidemiology, crappy, attacks and all that make they've got no plausibility to them. G'day, Lukey. Oh, yeah. The dirty, underhanded Vagoon debate trick made my blood boil. Okay, I'll check it out. Yes. Maybe this fellow, if he would like to basically either challenge me or challenge the bald man, Bart K, we would love to rip him, well, give him a good fisting, that is, of the other type, the intellectual type. Let's just clarify that for our dear friends at the censor board of Google, just so they don't get the wrong idea. I've just been, apparently I've been let me just check that. I haven't actually checked. Are you going to respond? Is the monetization enabled again? It was supposed to be. So I'm just asking. Just somebody say yes, it has been, or it hasn't. because I can't see it from my sort of end, is what I'm saying. So if somebody can actually just tell me, yes, Harry, it has been re-established, because they're supposed to put back my monetization. My lovely friends at Google. And don't forget the guidelines, it's on their thing now. Nope. Okay. So they've actually still got some level of restriction. Okay, shadow banning. They actually said they've removed my advertising restrictions and remonetized me for advertising. So they haven't actually remonetized for the whole thing. Okay. Bloody nasty, aren't they? Oh, well, so lovely of them. Yes, unfortunately. Yes. And Sarah there as well. Good to have you here. DC. Any advice on dealing with weight loss plateau 2 years on carnivore, limit protein or limit fat? Usually it's fat, like that other guy did, high protein, low fat, and literally ripped himself. And then Rob basically recommended, rather than go back to consuming a bit of fat, he recommended he go back and consume a bit of sugar, like our dear friend down at Costa Rica, the shrink doctor that never practiced, that guy that loves guzzling down 400 grams of carbs. So yeah, obviously, I maintain my body fat, deliberate to dilute my deuterium, because I've actually accumulated too much deuterium, and so I've actually suffered consequences of basically rapid weight loss. So I've had to put back a bit more fat to basically maintain myself and dilute. So I'm doing that for a couple of years, and then I'll, because my priority is long-term survival and health, not basically vanity in the short term. So if that's your goal, fine. Some people can end up, if they've actually accumulated a lot of deuterium in their body from too much seed oil in the past, if you're young, less of a problem. But if you've got a plateau, it's usually, increasing slightly the sort of the protein, depending on your physical activity. I will cover that in that video, but it's usually you're around about 2 grams per kilo body weight. For most people, that's about where you need to be to cover both the requirements of your general tissue and all that. If you're more physically active, then go to 3. If you're ultra, like 4. If you're like, bodybuilder or really doing heavy duty work outdoors, like lifting logs and moving stuff around, you need a hell of a lot more, because you're breaking down far more tissue. So it depends on that amount. About 1.8 at the sort of bare minimum of what I consider fine. I prefer people being at about 2 to provide that additional protein for organs, to maintain organ health as they're getting older in particular. And also because sort of protein uptake in older age also slightly drops. And so I prefer people from middle age onwards to be, at least 0.2 more. 0.2 to 0.4. I tend to be 2.2 personally. I don't, while I say 1-to-1 fat and protein in that regard, it depends what you're trying to do. Trying to maintain or put on body weight, you have to go much higher. You may have to go 3 times the fat, like liquid fat, to try and keep it in. Because if the body doesn't use it, the chylomicrons will go to the adipose tissue, drop it off, and you'll still use it, because you don't have high insulin in a low carb state. So you'll still use it between meals, but it still gets stored, So if you have an excess in one day and less in the other day, on the other day it'll just use the body stuff rather than the stuff that's coming in. It's sort of plays around those numbers, and it's really hard to sort of, precisely and all that. It's sort of basically, if you're trying to cut, it's going, this is the amount of protein. This is a rough thing, like 1.5 on the fat to protein side. So protein 1, half that in equivalent in terms of quantity. So if you're doing 100 grams, as an example, you're going to be doing more because you're not a small person, So if you're doing a certain amount of grams of protein, well, you want to do half the quantity in terms of fat, and then your body's just gonna use your own body fat. And the smart way of doing it is 24-hour fast, force yourself into a slightly more ketotic state, and then change, so increase for about a week or two your intake of food. That's the priming. So eat a lot to push up your metabolic rate, and then drop to that sort of level that I just described. And what will happen is the body will go, oh, there's no fat around coming through exogenously. I better take it from the adipose tissue, from the fat cells. You know what I mean? Because you've already pushed up your metabolic rate. So it's just going to rip off. That's how you deal with it. It's the old bodybuilding trick. Anyway. Oops, being post-viral from combination of transitioning paleomedicina too quickly, getting mostly a virus, but it's sorted out the macros, but awaiting result on cardiac. Yep, fair enough. MRI. Yeah, we need to, the two critical things with the immune system that I always remind people, a lot of the actual amino acids that we consume on an animal-based diet do have an effect on the immune system. So the immune system, if it's deficient in amino acids, it's not going to work as well. This is why I tend to, especially if you're older, to want people to consume more protein. Not only for the tissue of their body to maintain it, but also for the immune system, the enzymes and everything else. We have slightly more requirements as we get older as well. So keep that in mind, guys. Don't fear protein, but modulate fat depending on what you're trying to do. But initially, don't push it down, because your body's going to go, oh shit, I don't have enough, and it may lower the metabolic rate. So you want to push up initially. That's the priming effect. 1 or 2 weeks, really push up the eating stuff, force the body to do this high metabolic rate, and then do the cut. That's what a cut is. Cut back on the energy side, food energy. So the body goes, oh, where do I get it? You know where it's going to get it. And as long as insulin is low, it's not going to eat away your muscles. That's being in a ketotic state. And so usually when I do a sort of a prime, I do like a 24-hour clean out. So to take all food away, forcing the body to go to the adipose tissue, and then food to maintain my muscles. And I also use taurine with that food for the simple reason, because leucine will activate in the musculoskeletal mTOR. And guess what taurine will do? Will bind with a bugger. And when it binds with a bugger, it will amplify protein synthesis. And you'll get more protein synthesis effect than you would get without taurine. Anyway, that's another biohack that I've talked about for a long time. I just haven't done the video on it. And the nice thing is, when mTOR is low and AMPK is high, taurine does the other thing. It actually amplifies the catabolic pathways and actually improves your getting ripped in a fasted state. Anyway, let's move on. Gabriel, my uncle has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes like a lot of other people. Unfortunately, he's not on meds for the next 6 months, and I hope to help him reverse it. Would a carnivore diet be enough, or should he go keto. Keto carnivore would be the way to go, but transition him slowly. It's not a marathon. Sorry, it's not a sprint race. It's more of a, we need to transition him. You need to transition him slowly. And if you've got any, and if you want, and if you need somebody to coach him along and all that, because I don't do consultancies, or I used to, but otherwise I'll end up with burnout. It's just with the amount of work that I've got, private life and everything else is right up here. I'll end up burning the candle at both ends and doing my own self-harm, which is what I was doing, and I had to pull back a bit. Obviously after I retire, I'm going to have a bit more time, but at this stage in my life, it's, I'm just trying to, whenever I've got a bit of free time, I do a bit of content for you guys, just to give you a different perspective than you'll get on any other channel. And I think that's why a lot of you guys come here, because I view the world very differently than most other people, and do have, I believe so, that do have insights that other people don't have, because they are influenced and affected by reductionist thinking. That's their problem. It's really, they can't get their mindset out of that sort of, narrow focused thinking. It's just the way they think. What did somebody say? There was a philosopher, I can't remember who actually explained this, about how people get indoctrinated in thinking in a certain pattern, and they can't escape that pattern, and how sometimes it's best to teach yourself. You'll have a more rounded and a better perspective, because you haven't been indoctrinated in a certain type of thinking, but you've been exposed to all sorts, and you've noticed both errors and good things in a number of people's work or things that have been said. It's along those lines. I can't remember exactly. It was a long time ago, but you know what I mean. Anyway, yes. Ooh, my brother-in-law has cellulite and has a high carb eater face, purple crying. Yeah. Most of these things correct themselves when you go on a species appropriate diet. You don't even have to do any specific biohacks. The problem is, the people are eating the inappropriate foods are going to get all these, and depending on their genetics, they'll manifest all sorts of things. Hello, Deborah. How are you? Good to have you here. Okay. I'm not even going to comment. I'm not even going to comment. I'll probably get myself in trouble if I do. Remember, guys, put the Q in front, questions, so I know which ones. Remember, we've only got about an hour that we're running this thing, and if I don't have a Q in front, I don't know. I'm actually trying to work out who's asking what, and so in that regard, yes, I do. You know what organs pretty much get rid of most heavy metals? Pretty much your liver is the prime detox, and your gallbladder excretes a lot of this sort of stuff. I know a few metals like manganese, excess retinol, excess vitamin, excess minerals of different types like copper, whatever else. They all, they get excreted, and all the heavy metals via the gallbladder. So if you don't have a well-functioning gallbladder because you've been on a vegunarized diet for too long, or you've been on an inappropriate diet, use it or lose it, as they say, then a lot of the detox isn't going to happen properly. There's also the problem is the reabsorption. There are certain bacteria that can actually break down some of the actual binds of these on these, even on like even excess estrogen. You can have this binding effect that it can broken up, and you can actually reabsorb xenoestrogens and all sorts of things. Calcium D-glutarate, which is a supplement, is very effective at actually preventing these bacteria from doing that. And it usually is a deranged gut microbiome that hasn't been completely resolved as well that usually causes some of these issues. So, yeah. So basically, it's a bit more involved. There will be a future video explaining it a bit better and clearer and all the pathways and stuff like that. But I'm just giving you a general thing if you need to. You know, I've talked about gallbladder issues constantly and things like that. My coffee's getting cold. What happened? I had a spillage. Completely, you know, just in a rush. Remember the 2 minutes in the beginning? That's nice. Put a bit extra cream in it. Yummy. Yes, yes. Snaps are the comment. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, the transition. Yes, yes, yes. I agree, because that's usually what I recommend as well, and I think Bart does as well. You know, it's a rapid changeover. Let the body adjust. You know, what there's no hurry. So you're welcome. Such polite and respectful subscribers that I've got. My only sort of inappropriate subscriber is Ted, but he's a lovely teddy bear. So no hate speeches, because none of us want any night visits. Yeah, look, a lot of people have post-viral stuff, and it has to do with immunosenescence. So we need to basically up our taurine a bit and make sure our vitamin D status, because you know it can be pushed down, and that and without us realizing that our vitamin D status has dropped. Also, we've got a situation where we're having our bifidobacteria and lactobacillus hit severely, and I'm getting people going and saying, I just became lactose intolerant. And I go, did you have COVID recently? And they go, oh, how did you guess? Well, your lactobacillus has taken a hit, and so some of the bifidobacteria and stuff like that are involved in breaking down lactose. Well, that's why. So yeah, we are having problems with this lovely bioweapon from yours truly, our dear friends from EcoHealth Alliance, and our friends at the CIA. But yes, and our dear friends at Wuhan as well that were involved. Lovely people, absolutely lovely people. You know, you couldn't think of better people. You know, I'm just waiting for their new invention. You know, it must be a blockbuster for Big Pharma. Yes, just waiting for it. Can't wait for it. I'm so keen on seeing what they'll come up with next. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, it's a bit of a hassle for a lot of people, unfortunately, or in all seriousness. And if, it's creating a lot of problems for a lot of people, these micro, I haven't actually discussed this in thoroughness, but there's a couple of doctors that have done a bit of research in the US, and they're using different protocols, but one of them in particular, I did actually post in my community page, but he's actually gone through and actually done these different types of body scans. And he's found throughout the whole body these micro, sort of like concentrations of particles. So it's quite clear that these spikes are breaking off and, disintegrating and around and creating these micro clots around the body. and it's creating also hypoxia, lack of oxygen, all sorts of problems in the actual body. And it's quite clear that it's, you know, it's very problematic in this, all these strange symptoms that people are noticing. It's just, yeah. So it's that, and also we know the actual C19 itself causes a lot of these problems, but obviously something that actually, because the real problem is the little, you know, the spikaroo, you know, the little protruding little thing. Yes, that's the real big problem. Yeah, and yes. Well, it is a virus, but as a bioweapon. Yes, exactly. It's modified. It's, look, coronaviruses have been existing for ages. We've been researching. I think one of the best pieces of research that I remember reading, it was a study back in 1962 on coronaviruses. So they've been experimenting, our dear lovely friends at Big Pharma, for a very long time, and manipulating our lovely dear friends at Big Pharma coronaviruses for a very long time. These aren't new. And they found a novel way of adding a little protruding thing. It's like a Dalek. Exterminate, humanity, exterminate. Yes, exactly. You know, that's what Daleks do. So they created a Dalek version of a traditional thing that didn't want to do any harm to humanity. It was a lovely dear friend from the past that got modified into a Dalek and now wants to exterminate humanity. Well, we've got to bring the population down somehow, you know. I mean, we've tried veganism, you know, it's too slow to, you know, to kill off enough people, and nobody wants to do it. A very small percentage only want to do it. So you've got to come up with those solutions, you know. Otherwise, you know, our dear friend Klaus at the World Economic Forum, the plan isn't working. He's disappointed. I can understand his grief. I feel you, Klaus. I feel you. I honestly feel you from the deepest parts of, you know, whatever parts of my body. It's the rear orifice, the smelly part. Anyway, yes. You bigot. You absolute bigot. Oh yes, you gotta have legislation. Another bigot, you know. God, how dare you? That's my Greta impersonation. How dare you? Okay, that ass cat. The mighty vegan weapon of stacks of studies tell you why your health success isn't real. Exactly. I had to laugh. It's just, yeah, stacks and stacks of dribble and garbage. Epidemiological nonsense. Associated claptrap. Yes. I'm more likely to be eaten by a shark next time I have a bit of ice cream than basically have getting illuminated by that nonsense. Oh, my man. How are you, mate? Long-time supporter. Well, wasn't I sarcastic enough? Well, I'll have to work on it. Am I right of thinking that rainwater is lower in deuterium than regular water? Yes, you are right. They are now selling rainwater in cans here. Next time it rains, just get out with a cup. I can believe anything. Honestly, I can believe anything. I expect it's probably quite pricey as well, you know. Oh, just catch you now. Wanted to thank you for your recent video where you mentioned vitamin C. C helps to break down histamine. You saved. You saved my life once again. Helps me to feel much better. Oh, you're welcome, Wolverine. And Dr. Nefrel Research. How are you, Nef? Hi, how are you? Hope you're having a good day. Greetings, gang. Yes, I am. I definitely am. And in 15 minutes, I will be off. Like a bad spell. Long time to see. File, hope you're doing well. Great interview with Sean Baker. Yeah, it was. I did enjoy it. Just mucked up my sleep that night because I fell asleep, then woke up, realised, oh, shit, you know. And, I looked at the time. Luckily, it wasn't over. I wasn't late. And then had to turn on the lights because it has to be specifically to their lighting requirements. Which then stuffed up my melatonin levels and I couldn't fall asleep. It took me ages. So I felt like dead the next day. Well, in the morning, I just felt, because that's the day that because it was a Saturday morning. So then I went to Salamanca and I just, luckily, we only did the short walk because I was just, but it was a really good interview. The only problem with it was that I found it was really hard for me to work out when it was probably just our connection, but I wasn't sure. Sometimes, either I or he was interrupting each other. It was just, there was a bit of a delay in the actual, and so I wasn't sure when he had stopped finishing. And it was a bit like that, and I was trying to also cram in as much information so people would get an idea of what I have to offer, what on my channel. So it wasn't a perfect. It was a good interview, but it wasn't. I mean, if you think it's a great interview, thank you. But from my own perspective, I thought it was a bit of like a rush. It was a short amount of time I got actually, and I felt I was just rushed and pressured. So it was for me. It may have been for you guys, very informative and all that, but from my end, it just felt quite sort of not. It didn't flow the way I initially dreamt that it would flow and operate. So yeah, so I wasn't happy with myself the way it actually was done. To be honest about it, but it is what it is. Shit happens. I've been buying biltong from an Aussie supplier. It's soaked in gluten-free white vinegar before sea salted and dried. Do you think any issues with white vinegar? Nah, not really. It's the least of problems. I think I've actually tried that as well, that biltong. It's the one from, I think, Western Australia, which is very much a South African form. It's much nicer than some of the other biltongs that are out there. Most of the biltongs, unfortunately, out there, some of them have got seed oils in them. You have to check the pack and all that. The Woolworths one is they've actually made it a bit more moist. It was a bit too dry. They've made it a bit more moist now. It's still quite lean, but it's their plain one, doesn't have any seed oils or any crappy stuff. So I sometimes buy that one occasionally. And when they've got the other one on special, I usually buy that one because it's much nicer. And it's usually bought for about, because it's usually 25 or whatever bucks. They bring it down to, I think, about 18 or whatever. So they'll reduce it slightly, and I get a 200 gram pack. And that is really nice because it's way moist. It's got more fat in it and stuff like that. So I was consuming quite a bit of biltong. I sort of dropped off it now I'm not consuming as much, occasionally now and then. I don't know whether I'm over it or whatever. Leo, welcome. In regards to your dirty fasting protocol, is nice and necessary? It depends. Not really. Not for the fasting. I usually going into a fast, I make sure that I up my eating quite a bit. So I eat far more as I go into a fast. And I usually take a B complex as well to basically up for the next couple of days to have much higher, because you still need the cofactors to do enzymatic processes in the body. So you can't escape that. Even the guy that actually did 386, I think it was, days fasting, they made sure that he was getting all the vitamins and minerals, the cofactors that the body requires to do the processing, the functions in the body. So, and then the macros would come from the tissue themselves as the tissue is being broken down and utilized. So, but you still need the cofactors. Less important the fat-soluble vitamins because they are stored in the adipose tissue and they will get released. So you're less focused on that. You're more focused on the water-soluble vitamins and the minerals. That's where the focus is in those sort of cases. So when I do long fasts, I tend to use B vitamins with trace mineral supplement. It's colloidal minerals. I've shown it on many occasions. If you do the King Island colloidal mineral, you do a Google search, you'll find it. Anyway, yep, that sounds pretty good. With the other stuff, yep, to enhance, I will do the video to enhance the actual, the autophagy, put it on steroids, supercharge it. Why do I feel like throwing up after drinking beef tail? Rib soups with salt. No idea, Johnny. No idea. What else do you put into it? So it may just be as simple as your body doesn't like the taste and just reacting to it. Sometimes if our body's designed, if you've got a smell, let's say something is rancid, you eat something which is rancid slightly and all that, what does your body normally say? Well, this isn't really healthy for me, So even a good food, or if it's got some sort of smell, it's gone off, your body basically wants to get rid of it. So you don't cause yourself any health problems, and it just may be something that a smell that could be associated mentally with a childhood trauma or childhood life experience that you didn't like, and you've created association in your brain, and your brain is going, remember, your brain is connected through the, with the actual gut. There's like brain cells in the gut connected via the vagus nerve, and there's communication between the two. Your second brain is in the gut. And so if your brain basically goes, and the other thing, too much rendered liquid fat is one go. Yep, thanks, Richard. Yeah, that's another possibility. You may be not being able to process enough. Yeah, potential. Do you still have a gallbladder problem? Stuff like that. Yeah, good point, Richard. But also there is that psychological thing as well. So there's a lot of things that could. That's those sort of questions to tease out is, as Bart Kay would say, they need consultancy to be able to work out exactly what could be driving it. Because, easy questions like, should I include this in my diet? Should I do this when I'm fasting? Should I do that? Or is this, those simple sort of, you could call them reductionist answers and questions. They're very easy to answer in a live stream, something a bit more involved. But luckily, there are very well-informed people like Richard on this channel. Thank you, Vivid Mouse, who contribute to my channel. Goodness, these prompts are so impromptu. Yeah, exactly. That's a very, very good play on words. Yes, yes. You're mousing around, aren't you? In the lexicon. I throw up when eating ground beef and lamb. I'm okay with steak. Okay. Could it be the histamines? Possibly. Yeah. First get tested and see what you're actually reacting to, and then get back to me. Because unless we know more, it's really hard to work out why you're reacting to certain things. And sometimes the way we explain our symptoms and how we react also elucidates a better understanding. Hard logic, how are you, mate? And we're about 4 minutes away before I pull the absolute plug. It's nothing fancy. It's just Moccona. It's so yeah, it's an espresso Moccona. So it's nothing fancy whatsoever. And occasionally, when I'm out, I'll have a proper barista type coffee now and then. Usually have most of mine barista coffees at Salamanca. I just do it for the taste. It's not because I'm connoisseur or anything like that. Occasionally, I will go to and have like a cold filtered type or a sort of some of the Middle Eastern type coffees, and even some of the Greek coffees. Occasionally, I'll consume those, but I'm not. I enjoy coffee, the taste of it more than anything else, but I'm not, the special connoisseur or anything like that. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about coffee, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm a carrier for hemochromatosis and have some symptoms of iron overload. You need more taurine to regulate those ions to make sure they go in the right place and the rest get excreted, any excess. So most people that basically use taurine supplementation usually resolve their hemochromatosis symptoms pretty fast. Let's put it that way. And just generally on a carnivore diet, I've noticed a lot of people who are slightly stricter tend to have, and I usually do things like calcium-rich foods as well. So there is a case where some people can have hemochromatosis and also have that calcium gene, and if they're not getting enough, it can actually cause some derangements there as well. So it's a bit complicated, and those things sometimes need a consultancy or need to basically be, you test, see where they are, where they're falling those parameters and stuff like that. Sue. Anyway, Nathan, I haven't gone. I'm still here, but I do have other things to do. The next step, still asking us, do more jabs. Yes, they are. Yes. Don't neglect your dear friend Jabba the Hutt. He's such a lovely person. Yes, and the good people in the health industry, I mean, we don't want Pfizer and Moderna going bankrupt. What is wrong with you people? You should be doing, when you go, don't do one jab, ask them to do two at the same time. We've got to save Pfizer and Moderna. They're at risk of basically not making enough profit this year. How dare you basically neglect these beautiful companies owned largely by BlackRock, our dear friends at BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, lovely fund managers who control 89% of the US, stock market. nearly 100. If we get more money printing going, they'll own the whole lot. And then basically, you know, Klaus at WEF will basically be happy. So get out there and jab, 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 you know, you bigots. You know, our dear friend Klaus is unhappy with you. You know, how dare you behave like that? Leo, last question off the rack. My mum is healing a shoulder tendon tear, which she had surgery, would supplementing taurine glycine. BPC, body protection compound, 157. That's what you should be getting. And if you can actually get injectable forms and get a doctor to inject in the site, even better. So you do it for, if you're doing the oral one, you do it for basically, so BPC. So this is what you want to use. Now, what is it doing? And so you'll use this for 2 months, 3 months off, and if she still is healing, another 2 months, and take 1 tablet a day. And okay, that's a tablet form. And if you can get somebody to do injections in the site, which would even be better, because that's what athletes do to get actually quicker recovery, because the other one just distributes throughout the whole body. And you know, where is that peptide? Somewhere in my list. Let me find it. Okay, it's not there. Maybe they've removed it for whatever reason. Damn. The injection's been prohibited. No wonder. Freaking hell. It's probably why some of them aren't providing it anymore. Well, this company is, but this is way more pricey than the other company that had it on Amazon. Unfortunately. which is inch, because the other one was actually about half this price. This is 230, way more expensive. You may have to Google around and see if you can actually find the injectable form, cheaper. There's another site. You can take a look at this site and see what pricing they've got. I'm in a hurry, so I can't actually do the looking for you. There's the links. Do your own searching. Try and find some of the information, and that will help Leo. So if you do it directly into the site, taurine will help as well. I would also add leucine supplementation, because your mum's probably not eating enough protein. So we want to use the 6 grams of leucine with 6 grams of taurine. What's she like is she on any meds? Remember, if you're on lithium or on blood pressure meds, there can be issues. You have to split the taurine, 2 grams, 2 grams, 2 grams, start from 1, get the meds adjusted. So keep that in mind. So just all that sort of stuff. Okay, so she's not on any meds or anything like that. If she's not on any meds and she's relatively healthy and she's just got a shoulder injury, we just need to get the protein up. It's really that simple. If you look at tissue, when burns victims, what do they give them? They give them a whole bunch of egg powder. That's what they used to give them before all the medications came in and all of the natural stuff got thrown out of the health system. But really what they used to do is, if you want healing, you need to have your vitamin D levels up. You need to basically have calcium-rich foods. You need to have animal-rich foods of protein for the protein synthesis. And so leucine and taurine to amplify protein synthesis to heal and repair this tissue faster. With this peptide, you're actually amplifying all those effects in terms of healing the tissue a bit on the faster side. Obviously, for somebody elderly, it's going to take a bit longer. Keep that in mind. But the combination of all these things will make things much faster compared to not doing any of this at all. Anyway, leave that question and any other question. There's Nathan as well. And any other question in the in the comments section after, and when I get a chance this afternoon or possibly in the evening or even tomorrow, I will answer those things. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I am pretty much out of here. Thank you for turning up. You're welcome. So thanks for turning up. Thanks for your support. And yes, take care. And something else I wanted to say, I can't remember now. Whatever it was, it'll have to wait. So let's just... You're welcome, Johnny. And cheers, Hard Logic. And Nathan. Still can't remember it. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thank you for being here and thank you for your support. See you all.